Today we're going to be talking all about Woodstock, Ontario, and we've got Jay here with Remax from AB Realty in Woodstock.
So Canada's fastest growing centers are smaller resort towns. So I kind of laughed. It's Tillsonburg is not really a resort town, and it's third on the list. And Woodstock also is not really a resort town, and it's seventh on the list.
Wow.
With that 13% growth in the last 6 years, from 2016 to 2021.
Yeah.
So that tells you there's a lot of people moving into our area. Woodstock future development. You can see all these spots here where there has been something going on. Something's been approved. So there is lots of residential activity here. And as you can see on this column here, it says total number of units for each one of these developments.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of development coming in this area.
What's going on, YouTube? It's Rebecca Lynn Matheson, aka the Canadian Cottage Girl, and welcome to another episode of Market Updates here on the Canadian Real Estate Channel. Today we're going to be talking all about Woodstock, Ontario, and we've got Jay here with Remax from AB Realty in Woodstock, and he's going to be breaking down some of the more recent market update stats for the Woodstock market. So, Jay, welcome to the channel.
Thank you very much, Rebecca. I'm so happy to be here. It's my pleasure.
Absolutely. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of your background here in real estate.
So like everybody, I've been in real estate for a long time, buying and selling my own properties. I've had bought and sold a couple rental properties, multi-unit properties. I was in Toyota Motor Manufacturing for a lot of years in management, and I thought, I want to dabble in real estate a little bit, so I was going to do it part-time, but then a couple of years ago, it just blew up. It's been doing fantastic. So I've retired from Toyota, and now I'm doing real estate full time for the last little while. So very happy to be into real estate, and especially in this day and age.
Absolutely. Yeah. And for those of you who are or maybe aren't familiar with the location of Woodstock, it's right at the corner of the 401 and 403. And there's a lot of automotive manufacturing happening there. So it doesn't surprise me to hear someone have a background in Toyota or one of those manufacturers, but definitely real estate is popping off over the past several years. So let's dive into the Woodstock stats a little bit. I know that this has been one of those hot bucket markets just because of the location and with everything going on in all of the markets across Ontario. I am very curious to find out what is more recent and relevant within the market.
All right. Okay, Rebecca, I'll hop right into my presentation. All right, so we're going to dive into the January 2020 data. I have done Oxford County. The three main players are Woodstock, Tillsonburg, and Ingersoll. So I have delved into those three markets. So Woodstock, one of the highlights of Woodstock is the trails. If anybody knows me, they know I like to walk and talk. So I thought I'd highlight the over 558 hectares of parks and trails. It includes one major city park, which is Southside Park. We have over 50 neighborhood parks and facilities and over 30 kilometers of trails. Beautiful trails along our Pittock Reservoir. And it's just a beautiful place to be in nature. So. All right, so we're going to start with the Oxford County historical new listings data. So this is all of Oxford County. As you can see, January, I have 2022 is the blue, 2021 is the red, and then the average of the previous 5 years from 2022 is the orangey color. So as you can see, this year we're down just a little bit from the average, but we are up a little bit from 2021, which is a good sign. That's for Oxford County. And for historical sales data, as you can see, we are up this year. They're matching sales and new listings are matching. There's not much staying on the market very long. And we are above the average for the last 5 years as well. And as you can see, the previous year, 2021, actually took on the same average or the same trajectory as every other month. We go higher March, a little bit down in April, up May, and then slower. through the rest of the year. So, and by the looks of it, we're quite high this year. So I'm hoping that we're going to keep going that way.
Yeah. And so just to clarify here, this sales data is the number of properties sold or?
Yes, number
Okay,
of properties sold, yes.
perfect.
Okay. And then, so of those numbers of Oxford County, we'll break it into the top 3 players. So for Woodstock, as you can see, our historical sales, we are way over what we normally do. So the sales in January is fantastic. Tillsonburg was down a little bit, surprisingly, and also Ingersoll happened to be, it was up a little bit from the previous year, but a little bit below the average.
Right.
Our historical new listings, we are again up quite a bit over last year and a fair bit over the average. New listings, Tillsonburg down a little bit, and new listings Ingersoll was down a little bit, which kind of surprised me in this market. So for the new listings, year over year for last year, so Oxford County, we're up 33% from last year at this time. And Tillsonburg, again, was down a little bit, 13.6%. Woodstock up over 100% from last year for new listings. So Woodstock is booming right now. Ingersoll was down just a tad. And for our sales, as you see, Oxford County is up 46% from last January. Tillsonburg is down 38%. Woodstock, huge jump in sales, is plus 123%. And Ingersoll is also up 44% from last January. We have our average list price or median list price. We do have everybody is, except for Ingersoll, is up. Woodstock is up 16%. So the average over list price is 18% over list price.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I don't always take stock in that number because, we do get properties that are marketed below market value to get that extra number of showings and try and get that over ask price.
Yeah.
But for the most part, everything seems to be thought to be marketed properly or priced properly, but everything's just going crazy.
And would you say that's probably what's happening in Ingersoll is people are just maybe like listing a little bit lower to get higher?
Yes. And also, so there was only 13 properties sold in Ingersoll in January, and most of them, as you'll see in the one slide there, the average price is over $900,000 because the properties that are coming on the market are higher end properties.
Got it.
Yeah. So, and our median days in the market. So this one here, Woodstock, at 6 days on the market. And I do have a slide later on that tells holding offers. So holding offers is a huge impact on this because almost everybody that's holding offers is holding for 6 or 7 days, and then the properties are off the market. So that's why most of these numbers are down, because the trend of holding offers, it's just creates that frenzy.
Got it.
So then we got the average sale price, and this is what I was talking about here. So Ingersoll, as you can see, $937,000 average sale price, which is,
wow,
that's huge, and just because of the quality of properties that were on the market for January. Yeah. Woodstock, up 25% at $744,000, and Tillsonburg is up 35% at $691,000. And another number, average price per square foot. I don't typically put too much stock in this. There is some properties don't put the total square footage of a finished basement, or the numbers aren't quite correct. But for the most part, Oxford County was up 29% for price per square foot from last January. Tillsonburg was up 36.5%, which is quite a huge number.
Right, absolutely it is. Now, just to go back to the average sales price, is that from last year, so January 2021 to January 2022, up 54% in Ingersoll?
Yes.
Wow.
And that, again, that's 13 properties, so it's not a big sample size.
Got it.
And it is the quality of properties, right? The previous January, there could have been a lot of semis on the market or something, but for Ingersoll this year, there was a fair bit of $900,000, $1.1 million homes, larger homes that were on the market. So
got it. Yeah, that context is important.
Yes, it is. Yeah. And so we're going to go into this slide here. I thought it was kind of funny. A slide from Statistics Canada, RBC Economics. So Canada's fastest growing centers are smaller resort towns. So I kind of laughed. Tillsonburg is not really a resort town, and it's third on the list. And Woodstock also is not really a resort town, and it's seventh on the list.
Wow.
With that 13% growth in the last 6 years, 2016 to 2021.
Yeah.
So that tells you there's a lot of people moving into our area. Found it mostly a lot from Toronto, but
Yeah.
that seems to be the trend.
Well, it's definitely like situated in such a great location, being at the corner junction of the 403 and 401. Like it's accessible from so many different really like markets, and definitely the GTA. If we look at like
Oh
even
yes,
further in southwestern Ontario, it's super accessible, and even down to the Niagara region, like there's direct access from every juncture in Ontario really to Woodstock. So I mean, it's located perfectly really for future building and development.
it sure is, and that's part of the draw. You know, that's one of the reasons why Toyota is here, and we have Cami and Ingersoll.
Right.
It's right on that highway. So, like you said, GTA, um, Hamilton,
Yeah,
London. We're right anywhere. We're close to everything.
totally.
So it's a great place for industry as well. All right, so to go on with that, Woodstock future development. So I did look at what's coming up in Woodstock and potential opportunities. So the city of Woodstock does have a fairly nice website, and they do
Hmm.
have a development portion of it that does have a map. This one was updated April of last year, so it's not fully updated, but it's got a development map, and also it has their legend here. So I can tell it. So this color here, draft plan approved or draft approved
Yep.
plan. You can see all these spots here where there has been something going on, something's been approved. So there is lots of residential activity here. And as you can see it on this column here, it says total number of units for each one of these developments.
Yep.
So there is a lot of development coming in this area. And it's mostly on the outskirts because we're obviously Woodstock's expanding. So it's going to the outside. So let's go into the one here. This a lot of people were sad. Our Woodstock Meadows golf course was sold last year, and there are plans to put housing on there. So this draft plan does provide for almost 1,000, if not more, residential units, 632
Wow.
residential lots, 311 townhouses, 150 apartment dwellings. So there is a lot of development in that area, and that's just one small portion. There's, I said, 1,000 units there.
Yep.
This is what will it look like according to the draft plan. So that's a pretty dense residential in there.
Yeah, that's substantial.
Yes. This one here, it's not necessarily for opportunities for investments, but just for people moving into Woodstock, we are finding a shortage of rentals, especially.
Hmm.
So we do have in this development here potentially 3 10-story apartment buildings, 2 6-story apartment buildings, and a 4-story apartment building. So 550 residential units. Also have a 2-story medical center, 2-story office building, and a 4-story hotel.
And is this something just land existing that has the possibility of having these developed on, or is this
Yes.
already in production?
Nope. This is all just applications that are put
Oh,
in.
okay.
Okay. So yeah, there's a lot of people that want to build in here, and I'm sure the
Hmm.
city will let them once they get it approved. Also,
Yeah.
this golf course here, this has recently been sold too. There will be some kind of development coming in there as well.
Wow.
So yeah, lots of development. So we'll just go over some current availabilities. So it's on our ITSO system for multi-residentials. There's not a lot of multi-residentials on the system right now. We have
Hmm.
Woodstock's got 4 units, Tillsonburg's got 1, Ingersoll has 0, and the days in the market for these are 5 to 57. So there is potential. There is a couple that have been on the market for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
But it seems even in this market, even if they're on for an extended period of time, they seem to still want to go over ask or
Mm.
very,
Interesting.
very, very close to it. So not a lot of deals there. One thing I told you, we were having a shortage of residential leases, lease properties in the area. We have so many
Yep.
people looking for rentals. And so we have 4 units in Woodstock for lease, 6 in Tillsonburg. Tillsonburg is a hotbed for rentals right now. There's a lot
Hmm.
more coming as well. And Ingersoll. And the average rent, if you're an investor, you're looking at what these specific properties have asked are $1,300 for a small bachelor apartment to
Yep.
$3,250 for a full house. And those are,
Got it.
yeah, it's a lot of potential there for rental income.
Now, these residential leases, these are just people like investors who have posted it to the MLS. Is that correct?
That's right. So there's still
Okay.
all your Facebook marketplaces and all those
Yeah.
other places that have a lot of rentals.
Yep.
We are seeing a lot of those too. So residential units were down as everybody knows, inventory is scarce everywhere. In Woodstock, we had 22, this is as of yesterday, 22 units on the market. Tillsonburg had 8, and Ingersoll had 3. So not very much inventory out there right now.
It's interesting. So to look at this multi-residential days on market versus residential, what do you attribute that to for multi-residential? Is it just that investors don't buy when the numbers don't make sense? Is it that like residential, there's just so much demand for people moving into the area? What do you chalk that off to in terms of the difference in the days on market? Because that's significant, right? Like we have residential at 14 days on market versus multi-res, the high end 57 days on market, and potentially even expiring after that. So like what do you chalk that off to for multi-res?
Multi-residential, a lot of the properties are marketed at the could be market value. So a lot of them have current rents, people paying $1,000, maybe $1,200 when the market rent is $1,500 to $1,600. So they are selling them as they are getting $1,500 to $1,600 a month or more. So as an investor, if you are currently getting that rent, yes, it's worth it. But to have to evict tenants, do your renos, that type of thing, to get new tenants in there with current market values. So a lot of these are projected values when you do have full market rents being paid.
Right, because what isn't being taken into account there potentially is the new mortgage, right? So we have cash flow happening at current rents with the cost that the current owner has, but they're pitching it on market with tenants staying in it, and then the new owner is going to have to assume a new mortgage at the new price point. So they might be taking on a cash flow negative property before they can turn it over into a cash flow positive property. So that's like investors oftentimes I find are very much data not drama when it comes to the numbers when buying properties. But even then, some of them who just jumped on these opportunities and bought it anyway still have looking at your data from the appreciation in the area. So I guess it depends on the strategy and what the why is there. But yeah, that's just a very interesting stat to see the numbers differing from that 14 days on market for residential versus what you would think of as an investment property being that multi-residential being 57.
Yes. Yeah, that's for sure. It is. I said it's mostly the not current market rent that most people are paying. And a lot of people have owned these properties for 10, 15, 20 years. So, they've tripled in value. So they're trying to get their money's worth right now.
Right.
So current trends. So I like to look at a few different aspects of our real estate market. And one thing I like looking at is holding offers. What's the trend in holding offers? And it is different from town to town, believe it or not. And it's even different from agent to agent. And that's why a local realtor is good to know, because I know by looking at the listing and who's offering or who's listed it, potentially if they're going to hold offers and that type of thing, right? So in Woodstock, 80% of the houses in January did hold offers. So they're just waiting for that specific date. And of those, about 75% of those were not accepting preemptive offers. So I didn't put that stat on there, but there's a lot of people that are holding and not looking at preemptive offers either, or bully offers. In Tillsonburg, 50% of the properties were holding offers. And in Ingersoll, 100% of the properties were holding offers.
Wow.
So nobody was just putting in the market for anybody at any time. And the average days on the market for holding offers is 6 to 7 days. One thing stat that's important that I look at is when an offer date is held. For instance, we had almost Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are usually the offer dates. So you usually have a lot of competition in those days. So when I'm listing a property, I kind of look at, okay, there's hardly any properties listed this day, so that's the date I'll hold my offers. I wait till the very last minute to make that game day decision on when to hold offers, just to kind of reduce, I want to be the only guy on the market at that particular time, so everybody's bidding on my house and not having a choice of 3 or 4 others.
Yeah.
Another trend I like to look at is occupancy type. So who's selling their homes? In Woodstock, 60% in January were owners or were occupied their homes. So 40% were more than likely investors selling them. And it usually happens that way in January, I've noticed, is for tax purposes. Most people wait till the January to, especially if the market's good like it is right now, you don't want to get rid of our properties. In Tillsonburg, only 40% were owner occupied. So there were 60% of those properties that were sold were vacant or tenant occupied.
Got
So
it.
it's a lot more investors. And then we have Ingersoll. We got 75%. We're owner occupied. Okay, so there's potential investor opportunities there. But then with more people looking for investments, it does create, if they're looking for more rentals, then that's what we're looking for in our area anyways.
Right.
Okay, so it's three things I was kind of look at is inflation. We all know that inflation was marked at 5% this past year. So inflation is going up. We have interest rates that are expected to go up in March. I'm sure they are because of the inflation rate to try and curb that. And with our low inventory, our market is going to still go up just because interest rates going up in March. We do have people that have locked in their interest rates for 60 days or 90 days. So that'll be May or June probably, I think, before anything happens, before the next interest rate hike after that.
Mm-hmm.
And for inventory, so I have a little different spin on inventory. In my opinion, I don't think we have a lack of inventory. It's perceived inventory. I have so many buyers and sellers that are looking to buy, but they're just afraid to sell their house because they can't see me. They don't think they're going to find something to buy. If I sell my house, I'm not going to be able to live anywhere. 99.9% of the time, you are going to find a house to buy. Everybody starts putting a house in the market. It puts the inventory up, and then we kind of solve our inventory problem. But to me, it's just a perceived inventory problem because I know there's lots of houses out there that are ready to be sold. And that's it for my presentation, Rebecca.
Awesome. Yeah, I definitely appreciate the spin there because I think sometimes when that problem is a perceived problem, it actually becomes a real problem.
Yes.
And people
Yes.
hold back and it causes that lack of inventory. But as you said, there could be a whole like army of people ready to actually list their property. And suddenly if that inventory meets the demand, that's when we could see some changes to the market. But for right now, based off of these numbers, it looks like we're still moving in the same direction.
Yes, it's still crazy. There's houses that are just going for unbelievably over asking price, houses
Yeah.
that you wouldn't think that would. So it's crazy.
What are some of the craziest like numbers you've seen recently?
So we discussed this already, but there were one of my friend agent of mine had a house listed for $1.1 million,
Oh
and
yeah.
it went for over $800,000 over ask.
So crazy.
Thought it was priced accordingly, but had 140 showings, 36 offers. It was just unbelievable what this house went for. Another house I showed myself, my client was going to put an offer in on it. It was listed for $450,000 here in Woodstock. Somebody had smoked in it for 20 years. It was a total gut job, total reno, and it went for $700,000. It was
Wow.
just crazy. I couldn't believe it. They only had 8 offers in that house, but it was just unbelievable.
Gotcha. Do you have any like tips or even like advice for someone who is trying to get into a market? Like what would you say to somebody who's looking at the Woodstock market as an investing kind of space or opportunity right now?
Well, first of all, we look at the budget. Obviously, if your budget's $500,000, it's very hard to get in the market, and that's when I would help a client. If there's 14 offers on this day, I'd look and hopefully there's 2 or 3 properties that are priced lower. I can help them get into that market. You have to look at some of those stats. Or if you're any type of investor, then you need to pretty much anything on the market. You need to look at $100,000 less than what your budget is, because that's really the only way you're going to get into a market. Or right now, like I said, there's no houses on the market more than 14 days in Woodstock. So you look for those times where there is a house that's been on the market for a long period of time that hopefully can hop on that deal.
Got it. Yeah. So kind of setting expectations in
Yes.
regards to budget. And then I guess having a bit of a range there and then actually looking at the properties that are lower than your range so that you can be more competitive.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Because I've had lots of properties listed for 550. Somebody's budget's 575, and there's 8 offers. Is it worth putting the offer in? Well, I'd hate to see them not get it. So we always do submit offers that way. But yeah, you need to have real expectations in this market.
Understood. Understood. Well, what's the best place for people to reach you?
I'm on Instagram. at Jay Friesen Real Estate. As you can see there, I have my own YouTube channel, which I'm trying to grow, called Jay Friesen Real Estate. Facebook, Jay Friesen Real Estate. So pretty much everything's Jay Friesen Real Estate, or wherever you want to look me up.
Love that. Well, thanks again for hopping on here on the Canadian Real Estate channel. And guys, make sure that you follow along with Jay on his Instagram. Go check him out on YouTube. And if you guys liked today's video, make sure you throw us some love in the comment section below.
Yes,
Ask
yes.
any Woodstock questions, any shout outs. Make sure you put those into the comment section below. And don't forget to smash that like button and turn on that notification bell so that you receive a notification whenever we post amazing Canadian real estate content. And Jay, again, thank you for joining us today. It was a pleasure having you.
Rebecca, it was my pleasure. I look forward to the next time.
Sounds good. Awesome, guys. Well, we'll see you on the next one. And make sure you tune in for more great content. Peace.